All right, I just picked up this small trailer. I love small trailers. They are really useful. They're really cheap. This is my second one now. And the old one is going to be now just a backup. This will be my main one. But there's a few little things that I need to fix or add or change just to make it more useful. But as of right now, it's great. I mean, the thing is brand new. And it only cost me, I don't know, less than $400. I bought it about a month ago and have been just using it as a workbench while working on the deck. But, so I haven't used it at all. Got to add a crank here. And these tires are too small. And I don't know why they build them like this, but this is like 7'7" or some ridiculous number. So we're gonna have to figure that out. Every trailer should be at least 8 feet. But this is cool because it does this. That's nice. All right, a bunch of things need to happen here. A whole bunch of things. The first thing though is that none of the lights work, and we got to go to the dump. Like now. So let's check out these lights and figure out what's wrong. None of them work, so it's probably a ground. Let's get this thing in the air. All right, well, this is the ground. And it seems tight. Oh, yeah, I just found something over here. Oh, yeah, okay. So I found a split in a wire, but it's not the ground, which that's confusing to me because if everything's out, it would mean that everything has a problem. Oh, everything does have a problem. Oh, geez, would you look at that? Yeah, you never use this junk. I just pulled this thing right out. So let's get this green. So we got to connect these two. We got to get rid of that one. All right, let's get on this. We got to move. Yeah. Look at that. That just popped right off. Oh man. All right, we need to rewire this entire thing. I just took my old trailer to the dump. This is going to take a little more time than I thought. So let's rip off all the old wire, and I ordered a kit, and that'll be here in a few days. And when it comes in, we'll hit it hard. But we got a bunch of other stuff to do in the meantime. Okay, this is out now. Well, I'm gonna cut it here and then save that part. Because in a pinch, I might be able to use it for something. I mean, this was all in electrical tape, so I assume that this is all right. But that is definitely not all right. Okay, got that all cleaned up. Now, let's get this. Crank jack. This thing is really easy to put on. There's no welding necessary. It's just like a U-bolt or something. I'll link to everything that I'm using in the description. You get 4 bolts, and you get 2 of these brackets right here. And the way the picture shows, actually I have to look at a picture from a different language to find the right picture. It goes like this. So what you do is, what I've seen is that the wheel is on this side, and you turn it this way. So let's do the top bolts first so that it can hang. pretty hard to move. I mean, that's good, but not great. Okay. All right, let's get this off. I don't think it's an 18, is it? It is an 18. All right. So two 15s and an 18. Leave the 15 on and do the handle, and then switch to the 18. All right. Oh, look at that. There's a little dessert here for greasing this thing. That is surprising. Well, it's taking grease. I don't exactly know where. How do you know when it's greased? Man, this thing's really taking grease. I wonder if it's just filling up. I wonder if this thing is just filling up this. You know, I think it is. This grease right here, that's not my grease. That's factory. Underneath that, there's a plate here. Well, maybe. It's this plate right here. You see it going through. Underneath that is the mechanism that raises the wheel. And the grease right here is greasing that, not this part. And the way you grease that is just by taking this cap off. You know what I mean? Or you just wait till it falls off, you know, in use, and then you grease it, and then you put duct tape over it. All right, it's a few days later. I got a couple things here. I got a 25-foot wiring kit. This has got a sheath on it. It's just 18 gauge. It's all wired up nice. This is pretty expensive. This was like 30 bucks, I think. But it's got this sheath on it, and it's 25 feet, so that's why. I would have got 16 gauge if it came with this sheath. Here's a mesh tarp. We're going to make something with that. And also the third thing I want to do, and I want to get this all done today because we got to get this out of here, is that I want to make a frame that allows this ramp to be flush with the deck so I can get longer pieces of wood in here. Those are the three things I want to do, and then this thing is usable. So let's start by wiring it up. It's pretty easy to do that. All right, wiring one of these things up is real simple. I need at least, well, I wouldn't say at least, I need 3 feet hanging out because obviously I got a 3/4 ton. You always want to make sure you got a long length because the 3/4 ton is a lot higher. And if you're using a drop hitch, which is what I'm using, you're going to be real far away. Especially if it's installed from the factory, so it's above the bumper. If it's hanging out below the bumper, then you don't have a problem. Got a whole bunch of good stuff in here. Oh yeah. Ideally, I would love to be able to send it through a hole right here, but I'm not going to grind this thing off and drill a hole. So what we'll do is we'll just zip tie it to this. And because you don't want this thing like this, because you'll end up, it'll get, you'll drop it on it and then you'll break it. So it's got to be zip tied out of the way. Now the only thing is I have this hanging down here. And it could get caught on something, which I'm not a fan of. This thing was a giant pain in the rear end to set up, but I have to say I've gotten a lot of use out of it. Without a doubt, it's been helpful. It makes nice clean cuts. You know, since I adjusted it correctly. Finally got myself a full face shield. Now, technically speaking, you should be grinding off the galvanized before you weld. But I'm not going to do that. This will make sure that the galvanized conduit doesn't rip through the wire sheathing. Tell you what, 25 feet, you gotta buy 25 feet. Look at that, it's barely enough. It's crazy. We want a fairly protected ground. So let's go right underneath this board right here. Yeah, okay, that'll do it. So let's cut it here. Now, the two big mistakes that people make when they solder. The one is, I think I've talked about this a few times now, is that they try and heat the actual solder with a soldering gun or pencil. That's not right. You got to heat the wire, and the wire melts the solder. And it takes longer to do that. That's why people don't want to do it, but that's what you're supposed to do. And the second mistake is that they use solder is too big, too thick. You need to use, when you're doing like 18 gauge like this, you gotta use thin solder. 14 gauge thin solder, all that is thin solder. People get impatient, and you know they just touch that soldering pencil and say, ah, screw it. See that? All the way around. It's soaked in. That's what you want. And this that I'm using here is 0.22. 0.22 diameter. There we go. I'm gonna muster up all of our strength to do this. Takes like 3 squeezes too. Oh my God, what was that, like 7 squeezes? You know, it takes like an extra half an hour to do something like this. Just putting the sheathing on. It's worth it. I'll link to this stuff I'll link to everything that I can in the description, anything that I've basically used. But all this sheathing stuff, pick up a bunch of rolls, all different sizes. I think I have like 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 3/4. I have like a whole bunch of different stuff. Good. That's done. If you ever go to the dump a lot, you know that the most annoying part about it, besides the smell, is tarping the load. That is really annoying. It's never, they just never works out right, and it's a big hassle, but you gotta do it. Sometimes they don't even let you in. Usually it's like a fee, but sometimes they don't even let you in. My friend Jamie says he solved it completely. All you do is drive there, and then you park outside and put the tarp on and then drive in. The biggest mistake you can make is use an actual tarp. You need a mesh tarp so that the wind doesn't just tear the thing up. So I picked this one up. This is really like it's supposed to be for decks, and you put it on top of a deck so that it blocks the sun, but it's still nice. So you can put it like there, or this goes on top of like a dog kennel, or that sort of stuff for your animals. Helps protect the sun, but also keeps the airflow going and won't rip. We're going to use this as the tarp, and I hope that we can use this piece of conduit that I have left over as the roller part of it. Ooh. Okay. A little blowout, but not much. Should be good. Go the other way now to avoid this blowout. That's probably a good idea. Oh yeah, way better. That's smart. Okay, now to keep it in this side, this is going to be like the non-crank side. All I'm going to do is just weld this on here, so now when it spins, nothing to catch on. If I put like a bolt through here or a cotter pin or any of that stuff, when it turns, it's going to hit. So if I just weld that on, that'll solve all my issues. It spins smooth, which is what we want right there. That's it. Let's check the strength. Yeah. Perfect. I should knock this pin out, drill a hole, and just put a cotter pin through it so that I can always get this thing out of here. Because if I welded this, which is my first thought, if I welded this, then never getting this out of here without breaking the weld. Oof, that is really maxed that thing out. I think we're just going to crush this thing. I think that's probably the smart move. Now I think usually they have like a track But obviously we don't have a track. We're just looking for a way to keep this thing always on the trailer and not have to, and not lose it, and a place to stow it. So, can't beat that, I guess, right? All right, the next problem to solve with this thing is, now that we can roll it up, is also how do you keep this side down? And sometimes the loads are a little bit taller, right? It could be up here. Sometimes they're lower, right? You know, basically flush with the top. So you need this thing to basically be adjustable. We're going to solve this very, very simply. So let's hook it here. Okay. Now, pull it. Pull it. Okay, so in practice, basically, well, this is basically for the dump, so garbage, kitchen garbage. I come in and I yank this out, and if it's just kitchen garbage, I could roll it up. But let's say it's like actual demolition garbage, which is real sharp. You're not going to want to roll it up and let it drag. So you're going to do this, right? You're going to empty the load, and then you're going to take this tarp, bring it back over, and then roll it up, and keep it semi-straight. That's perfect. Now, just a little bungee cord. And that's it. This thing's in there tight, it can't go anywhere. All right. Well, we got something going on here, I feel like. I think that problem is solved. It's going to be interesting to see how long that tarp lasts. All right, the next thing I want to solve is the fact that this trailer can't hold a 4x8 sheet of plywood. And the easiest solution I have is making a bracket that fits in this pipe, and I'm going to take the cap off this one in that pipe, and allows me to lay this thing down like this. See that? If I can lay this down and it sit like this, then the 4x8 sheet should come out to about here, and that's perfect. What I'm thinking is this square tube, this is 1/8. We put it in there, and we would cut it right, 23.5 would be in the middle here. I only have this one piece, but I got a bunch of angle iron that I'm going to use. And I think that should do it. And we just got to weld it up. All right, so let's cut this. That's nice. Now you can see how straight it is. This is important. If you cut this, I'm going to loosen this piece up. Remember the way it looks right now. If you cut this piece, and when it's done, it's like that. See how far away that is? That means it's not cutting straight. When it's done, it needs to be right up against the blade. That's how you know that the blade isn't bent. like bent in or out, right? Now, obviously, if it was like this, then you'd have a problem, but you're not going to see that. You're going to see this or flush or somewhere in between. All right, cross member. This right here is metal bed frames. This is a really good way to get cheap, strong metal. People sell this stuff, sometimes just give them away. And there's nothing wrong with this. Usually you have one long piece and two short pieces, and it connects to one long piece and two short pieces. I think what we need is just two long ones. That should be good. Okay. It's good. I was holding it so it didn't fall, but I was also just putting a hair of pressure on to open it up so it doesn't bind. I was regretting buying this thing, I'll be honest with you. I was like, you know, as I was messing with it so much, I was like, this is just a nightmare to deal with. Like, I probably shouldn't have bought this. I should have just bought like one of those hand ones from Milwaukee. The more I use this thing, the more I am just absolutely ecstatic about owning it. You also might be saying, Nick, just cut it with the grinder. Like, what are you messing around for? You could have had this thing done already. Well, I don't know if I could have had it done, but cutting it with the grinder, I mean, I'd rather get used to the machinery on an easy project versus a hard project. Okay, so let's tack this in place. Now let's cut one more to go here. I think that would just be smart. Length is good, but the notch is not good. So that's all right. What we'll do is we'll just put a little cutoff in there and we'll be fine. Let's put more wire in. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. So that should be strong. funny, I'm holding it there like I think I'm TIG welding. So we'll just do this. Ooh, that's still hot. That's good. I'd step on it right now, but it would probably flip the entire thing over. This is strong. Now, let's make sure it can come out. And I like that it's a little bit tough to come out, though, to be honest with you. I don't want it to bind completely. That's hot. All right, it comes out. And it goes in. Nice. Man, this thing is so heavy. Look at that. That is really nice. And I think what we probably should do is make a little spot on the inside to store it. So it's in there, it can come out, but will it? Will it like on its own come out? I think that's pretty darn good. I mean, I can keep hitting it. Yeah, okay. Let's see what happens if I take it all the way out. All right, take it all the way out, and then let's put it in. Now this thing's always with me, never gonna forget it. Well, that was a very successful day. I did this all in one day. I wired it up. I can't believe I wired it this morning. Jesus, this has been a long day. I wired this up. I did that, tarp rolling thing. And I built this frame, and it has a little storage spot for it now. And I don't see that popping out. I mean, to get that, you can't, so this is an important thing, I guess, to understand, is that for this thing to come out, it's got to be pulled straight up. It can't go like, see, it'll just bind. And you can't do it this way either, right? Oh, no, you really can't do it that way. So it's got to be pulled straight up. So there's no way that thing's coming out. We're in great shape. We just got to test it out. Let's plug this in and see what happens. So we got a couple of dead tail lights. This thing right here, bought this a while back. I haven't used it yet. It's like a tester. So let's open this thing up. You put it in between the connection on the vehicle and the trailer, and it lights up to let you know you're getting power to the actual line. So when we plug this in, if we have power, these should light up. Yeah, so we know we're getting power. That's good. Okay, now we're going to test the ground connection that I made. We're going to make sure that over here we're getting ground, because that's important. Because one thing I'll say is that when you have no lights on, you should check the ground first. No lights, you got to check the ground, because that's a classic problem. If the ground works, then you can look for other things here. Now, I have a power probe. These things are very, 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 very cheap. I would pick one of these things up. I'll link to this one in the description. I have this wire connected to the auxiliary battery I have in the camper bed. And if I touch it to, say, a piece of metal on here, you see that light up? That's light up green. That means it's getting good ground on the truck. If I touch it here, oh, there we go. So it's getting good ground through the tongue and into the actual trailer. Now, if you look here, there's a connection here. Is it getting good ground through this? We can go over to here, and we're getting good ground here. So the trailer has good ground. So now, if we put the probe into the ground side of this connector, we have green. Now, for instance, if you did this part first and it didn't come up green, you would do all those other things. You make sure you have a ground on the trailer, because you're grounded to the trailer. Double check that. If you have a ground on the trailer and you're not getting ground through this, and I'm not pressing any buttons, all I'm doing is I have this wire connected to positive and negative on the battery, and I'm just touching ground, and it's good. And you can see green means negative. So that means we have the ground. Now, again, as I was saying, if you have ground on the trailer, but you don't have ground here, check your ground connection. So we're good here. So the only thing left is the lights. All right, it looks like these taillights are bad. And what I did here was, just to verify, it was this like receptacle, if you can believe it. I got the meter and I touched this one to the ground, and then this one, this is something you really shouldn't do unless you have to, is that I this wire right here should have 14 volts or whatever, right? I put it through there, you know, I poked the probe through the insulation, touched the wire, and I got 14. So I got to replace these lights. All right, I just ordered new tail lights, and I tell you, it was a mistake to just assume that the wiring was the main issue. I mean, the wiring had to be redone. It just fell apart in my hands, but I should have assumed also that whatever corroded and dried out those wires also screwed up these taillights. So we're going to pop these taillights in. We'll put these in, and these are cheap. These are just like under 20 bucks. I'll link them in the description, but I believe these are the ones that you cannot replace the bulbs, meaning when the bulbs go, it's over. You got to replace the entire thing. That's a little annoying, but you know, it is what it is. We'll be using these, and oh, got some good, wait, what the hell here? It's got its own ground. We got these down here. And this would be really annoying to do with a normal stripper. Look at that. I want to make sure you push real hard on this, because it's going to just transfer the heat into the wire a lot quicker. If the soldering gun is barely touching the wire, it's going to take a long time to heat it up. Well, if you can believe it, I don't have any eyelets that are going to fit this. This is very, very annoying. So unfortunately, all we're doing is just doing this. Man, this is terrible. Don't tell anyone I did this. It's good enough, I guess. All right, we're looking good. All right, well, I'll tell you, I thought I was done with this video, and I even filmed an outro, but last night I got into the house, I was eating some dinner, I was thinking to myself, you know, I got to do a couple more things here. One is that I got to spray this frame so that it protects it from just rusting out. And I sprayed it. It's still wet right now. I got to spray it again at some point here. But then I was also thinking to myself, there's a real possibility that this thing, maybe not a real possibility, it's probably a small possibility that this rattles out as I'm driving. That would be bad. Okay, so here is that ramp down on the frame. First I thought to myself, all right, I guess I'll just drill a hole through here and a hole on the other side and put a bolt through here. I think that's stupid. The more I thought about it, what I think I need to do is just get a couple small pieces of steel, 1/4 inch, 3/16, and weld them right here. One here and one on the other side. And that'll make it so that it just can't come out. There won't be a way for it to come out. Now, that's it. Now it cannot possibly come out. All right, let that dry. That's a couple weeks later. Got this thing doing a little work. Just had to clean somebody's place out. And it's got some weight in it. I'm not saying these are new logs or anything, but this is, you know, it's getting some work done. It's doing a little, if this thing was twice as big and it was only lifting this, I'd be like, it's worthless. But this is not bad. And with this pickaroon, this is easy. Load it and the ramp. Just don't let it run over your feet. See how it handles one of these big drops. Let's try this one. This when it's hooked up, this is actually perfect to drive a four-wheeler up or a lawnmower. Not put a skid steer on this thing or anything, but anything less than 1,500 pounds is good. And with the ramp, it's real smooth. I would say that's what this is really probably for. It's a four-wheeler. Maybe a snowmobile. It's long enough for a snowmobile. All right, time to wrap up this video. This thing's been good. That clean out I did actually was 4 loads. And I don't know, this trailer, it probably is not the right trailer for clean out, but I will say this, is that it was 4 loads. 2 went to the dump, 1 was scrap metal, and the other one I brought here. So it's kind of like, even if I had a real big dump trailer, it's not like I could have done it in 1 load. It would have been too complicated. So I brought the 2 to the dump, then I took the scrap metal, brought it here, unloaded it into this trailer, the backup trailer, and I'll bring that to the recycling yard. And then I went back and I picked up the stuff for here. And now I'm just loading it up with just my normal everyday junk that I throw out at the house. And next week I'll bring it to the dump, and that's usually what I do. Is I'll just load it up from garbage from the shop. But now I guess I have two trailers where I can always put scrap metal into this one, and dump garbage into this one. So that's pretty handy. All right, everyone. I will catch you on the next one. This is a long one. It's another long one. I've been doing a lot of long videos. I got more long videos to come. But so if you watch this whole thing, I appreciate it. All right. See ya.